All right, folks, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. Thanks for being here today. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm doing a really cool interview today with somebody that I think I've had on at least one other time, maybe twice. Mark Allen Lanoue is this great singer, songwriter, musician, PhD, rocket scientist. No, I'm serious. Mark, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing all right. I don't have my PhD yet, but I'm getting there. About a year
Okay.
away, I think.
You told me, yeah, I just threw it in there. So it's a preemptive, predictive
Preemptive
programming.
strike. I got it.
This is predictive programming. You heard it here. So Mark is a busy guy. He's getting nominated for awards. He's got two bands. One that we were talking about before. He's got a new project out there that he's wanting to share with us today. So figured I'd have him on and see what's going on. So what is Kick the Wicked, Mark?
So, Kick the Wicked is a band between myself, my good buddy Scott Campbell, and my drummer from Fiction Six, who we've talked about before, which is Rory Fashion. And we started off as a tribute group, actually. We were doing tributes, especially during the pandemic. So when people were locked down, we wanted to bring them the joy of music. So we started just doing everything from the Bee Gees to Megadeth, and we just started doing and putting them on YouTube. And ultimately, we decided, hey, we all fit together really well with this. All right, we have chemistry, so let's start an original band. And I was having communication with my buddy Scott on text, actually. And I came up with like kick the something or whatever. And he goes, how about Kick the Wicked? And I was like, yes, that is it. So we ended up being Kick the Wicked. We put together 5 songs and put out an EP last August, and it was called Drag Magnet. And we don't really fit within a specific box. Just like with the tributes, we do one song might be heavy metal, the next song might be alternative, one might be classic sounding, the next one will be rock with a little bit of a pop kind of connection to it. And then we put out a single recently, which we're going to submit for consideration with the Grammys this year, called Firefly. And it is really, really good. I have to say kudos to my bandmates. It just really knocked it out of the park. It's fantastic. The production is fantastic. We have really cool lyrics, so I'm really happy with it. Firefly is actually about, as you know, from talking before, I write about things, experiences, like old school kind of writing. And Firefly is about when I was a kid in New Jersey. And I remember running through the neighborhoods where it was really dark at night. There were no lights anywhere, right? And I was thinking about all those things you see in the shadows in the night in your room as a kid and all that kind of stuff. But the fireflies would come out, and that would be kind of like the soothing nature of the whole thing. And so I kind of blended that whole ideology into the lyrics of, finding that safe place, that zone with the fireflies, kind of all that kind of stuff. So it came out really good. And the other thing we're doing is we redid, it's 8-minute and 30-second long song. We did Paradise by the Dashboard Light, and we have some really excellent players on there. The female part was done by Sharon Leah. She runs a really cool foundation called Ladies Who Rock for a Cause. They're actually having a concert for the benefit of some women and their children up in Philadelphia. It's really cool. But she did all the female part. Larry Hart, my bass player from Fiction Six, did the bass. And a guy named Brian Fishman Fish from Toxic Radio did the sportscaster. Holy cow, I think he's going to make it stuff, but it came out great. And we're putting that in for rock performance. So we're really happy about that. But anyway, beyond that, we actually have a song that's going to be out in the fall. It's a really cool version of Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit. And it's been accepted for submission into a movie called Black Creek, starring Cynthia Rothrock.
Wow.
So it's really cool stuff.
Gee, so I mean, you got possible Grammy consideration, then you got a movie soundtrack, which in today's landscape, it's really hard to get your music. Obviously, all of the material that you did with Fiction Six was definitely suitable for today's mainstream rock stations, active rock. Of course, I don't think it ever got on there, which is, just this happens pretty much every day when I see music come and go. I talked to my friend Jolyn Turner. He's got an album out there right now, which should be all over the radio, which to my knowledge hasn't gone anywhere. Is this frustrating for you because you're an artist in the true sense, like you're creating this great art, and you want to have people hear it, otherwise it's not going to be impactful, but you're finding ways, workarounds, going on my humble little show here, but is this the way to go about things, like, video games, TikTok, movies? Is that like the future, or what's your opinion on that?
My opinion is ultimately, so I'm also in the technology field, as you know. So I think that the way to go is ultimately to finally get encapsulated control of the industry. Too many people are making money above the artists. The artists have to pay. It's back to the old payola perspective where you have to pay to get anywhere. They lock you out of social premise unless you pay to get more people to see who you are.
Mhm.
And it's really a shame because there's a lot of really good artists out there. And it's not, I don't, not only just paying for me, but even my bandmates and stuff. I mean, there's such fantastic artists and producers and engineers, and they just can't get a leg up because they're just kind of stonewalled outside of that zone. Unless you're in that little bubble, you're kind of screwed, so ultimately I think it's fixing the industry, fixing who owns things, fixing who gets paid for things, fixing who encapsulates and doesn't steal things. People have to remember it's still a market and it's still a product, and if you take the product, then no one's making money and they can't continue to make the art the way that they love to hear and have. So
Do you think a part of your struggle is because maybe you have a slightly different message compared to some other people out there?
well, the message that I put out is always about so I always put out messages about experience. People can read those any way they want, but but I'm an open speech kind of guy. If somebody looks at me and goes, "Hey, yo, screw you," that's their opinion, and as long as they keep their hands over there, I'm cool. So it's so I'm old school that way. I don't think people should be picked on. Don't get me wrong, but at the same token, is everybody has their own way of doing things, and when I write about the things that I believe, and I care. I care about truth. I care about morality. I care about people. I don't care what you look like. If you shake my hand, you're cool. If you try to pull out a knife, then we have a problem, right? So I mean, it's like, so that's really what it comes down. I know way too much about biology. We're only we look one way or the other for particular reasons, usually environmental factors and things that have to do with science. So, but hey, and we make that pool of whatever we want to make, and that's what causes us all our problems. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of cookie cutter out there, and when you come along and you have a different message, I think you have I've interviewed a few people. Like I said, Jolyn Turner, he's another guy who's woken up to some of the things, the corruption, some of the lies, some of the lies, if not all of the lies, right? And I think you're one of those people too. I've listened to your music, and there are messages in there. Now, you're not somebody that is hitting anybody over the head with a message. You're, like you said, you've got your experience, and you're based on your own experience. You're kind of wrapping that up in a nice. In the case of Fiction 6 and your new band, I'm thinking you're trying to put this to an entertaining, interesting sort of musical backdrop so people can maybe hear the music, but then, hey, this guy, he's not just singing about girls and cars, and he's really kind of, getting a little deep here. Is that you? Is that what you're trying to do? Or is this just a phase? Do you like to go like you did Paradise by the Dashboard Light, which is incredibly fun song to listen to from start to finish? So I'm thinking all of the above, right?
yeah, I tend to be somewhat deep. I mean, I guess maybe it helps. I was born on 6/6/66, and I'm a Gemini, so I've got a couple of ids going on, right? So, but the fact is that I say what I say without hurting people's feelings. I open the floor for debate. I don't judge people. You can wear a strainer on your head if you want. I don't care. I mean, it's just each person has their individuality. I just, as a whole in society, I care about, what's happening to society. So, and then I was once, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I was once a member of the American Academy of Forensic Science. I'm also very funny about evidence. That you look at something, you go into a crime scene, you look at evidence. Evidence is evidence.
Yeah.
And you can stir it up any way you want and turn it into anything you want from a prosecutorial perspective, but it's still the evidence, and you have to go to the evidence. So fact is fact, and there's no way around it.
So you would say that you agree with there is an objective truth out there, and that is pretty much across the board. But in today's world, we're in the midst, I think, of a lot of deconstruction. A lot of people, if they can find a little loophole somewhere or present something that makes you maybe doubt, almost like if you're in a court of law where there's a little bit of reasonable doubt, or just because someone says it over and over again. But you're one of those guys, which I appreciate, that you're kind of like a Jordan B. Peterson type of guy who just looks at things and says, "Hey, this is what it is," and so you put that in your music, and I'm thinking it's part of your philosophy, right?
Yeah, well, my philosophy is, the dreamer, reality was once a tapestry of the dreamer. And even though we sit around and dream, we have to do something about that dream to make it better for everyone. And in order to do that, you have to understand what's actually going on. I mean, if you go back, like, people don't learn history anymore. In the Machiavellian age, people were selling tickets to heaven. And that's only because the people could not read what was actually in that to actually know for themselves. So they were just going by what they were told. So, if we don't seek out the facts, if we don't seek out the truth, it doesn't mean that we have to slam people down and judge them for any specific truth. It just means that we should know what that is so that we can understand it and understand what's happening to everything around us. It's not just a matter of running towards some utopian perspective somewhere, and when you get there, you realize that someone's standing there with a mallet. So you really have to really kind of look at it that way, I think.
Do you think politics are useful anymore, Mark, or do you think that, Frank Zappa, I always love this quote, but Frank Zappa said that politics are the entertainment wing of the military industrial complex. I think that's so brilliant that I just hang on to that all the time. And I'm thinking especially in today's world where political stories are just rapid fire. We learned last night of a new indictment. Today is probably going to bring us something new. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on the circus of politics right now.
Well, you can weaponize anything, and it really depends on how you take something and how you use it. If you use it for good, you use it for good. If you use it in fairness and justice is blind, as it should be, then you're in a good place. But if it's just, because you want to have a means to an end, and it doesn't matter how you take that means to an end, then we have a problem, right? Because then that's the degradation of society itself. And man's chaotic by nature. They come out of the cave, hit somebody else over the head. In order to stop somebody from hitting somebody over the head, you have to have laws. You have to have rules. You have to have moral standards. And who justifies who those moral standards are? Today, pick a can of soup, right? What Campbell's soup do you like? So I think that's really what it comes down to. So again, I'm one of those people, like, I won't go on Facebook and talk about any politics or anything else. I won't go on anywhere else and talk about politics and those things, because that's just promoting another war for an entire society that doesn't really even understand what the core factual context is of things. And in some cases, it's not really their fault. They're just being given that, and that's what's being portrayed as fact. So I think we have to get back to where we can talk to one another again without wanting to hit each other over the head with a rubber chicken or a mallet. So, yeah, it depends on whether you're taking the Monty Python perspective or not.
I kind of think the rubber chicken would be great. Maybe people could just get out their frustrations, and they might be able to actually talk to one another and say, "Hey,
I just hit completely different."
Yeah, I just hit you with a chicken. Wasn't that funny? And it would be nice if somebody would take a second to say, you know what, that was kind of funny. Maybe we do have some stuff in common. Maybe we don't hate each other so much. It would be nice to live like that, but I think people at this stage, and they've really dug in hard, and I'm not liking it because I'm seeing the end game and the outcome, which is really scary. I mean, I have kids, and someday I might have grandkids. Oh no. I mean, it's just, I'm already old as it is, but might as well just go, full there and just imagine grandkids. And what's that going to be like in 10 years, 20 years, there doesn't seem to be anyone that would pump the brakes a little bit and say, you know what, I may hate this party or this candidate or this philosophy, but we've got to be able to communicate and talk to each other. And I think you're probably trying to say that in your music. And you were telling me about this book too, which sounds fascinating. Does that have anything to do with any of this, by the way?
Well, my book is just like when I write music. It's I've had several people ask me to write a book about my life, going all the way back to when my family came over. My family was run out of Indonesia in like 1956. There was a faction there that was persecuting the Catholics in the area, and specifically the Dutch and the Dutch citizens. And they were run out of there, and they were given 60. The Queen was given 60 days in Holland to get them all out of there. They ended up going back there for 2 years, and then they came to the United States the old-fashioned way. They were sponsored by a family here, and there were 6 children. And then that's how I came to be the firstborn here in the United States to them. And then it goes from there, and then it goes through my, my New Jersey years, and my father being wrapped up with one of the crime families there, and so it goes on and on into the music and the technology, into the family life, all that kind of stuff. And then my travels later. I've been all over the world. There's other stuff in there all about my trips to China and Japan and Europe and France and England, all over the place. But that gave me a really good perspective in life, because then you see all those other customs, communities, government structures. You deal with everything from foreign nationals to the people in the streets. And then so you understand how I have it good here compared to other places as well. And some people don't have that perspective. Most people don't. So we're within this shell and bubble of what we're spoon fed, and there's really not a good perspective of what's going on around us. So that's what the book's really all about. It's called Reality Was Once the Tapestry of the Dreamer, the 6 Degrees of Fiction 6. And that's it starts off with me explaining where the name Fiction 6 came from and how that's associated with my life and things that have occurred. So
when's the book going to come out?
Well, the book is just about done. I'm just kind of like going through the grammar check and what pictures are going to finally ultimately be in there. And then we're bringing it to several publishers through a friend of mine. Actually, I have a group that's helping, a person named Marlene, who has she's got his India Ink Music. She's been helping a lot with the PR and stuff. And she also has been helping with that. So kudos to her and to her group. There's still good ones out there. So she's helping a bit. But yeah, that's what the book's all about. And there is a bit I just write just like I do with my music. I just put it out there. And if people want to talk about it, I'm glad to do that. If they want to, as long as they're not throwing anything hard, I really would not like to get hit in the head or anything. But if they want to throw a few soft things at me, I'm cool with that. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're throwing cell phones at people now, Mark, on stage. So I mean, I'm sure you can probably handle whatever.
Be up there with a bag, so
yeah.
I can bring it down to the local Walmart and turn it in for some cash.
Yeah, they got that machine, the phone machine.
The phone machine, right?
Put them in there, and they tell you how much it's worth. And man, someone drops a phone.
This bump I made $200 off of, and this one over here I made.
I have to tell some of these guys that are complaining, I'm like, just have the road crew just scoop up the phones, and you guys might make a few extra bucks. So what's the future for, you've got 2 projects, one that I was very fond of, which you mentioned here, which is Fiction 6, spelled a little differently. It's SYXX. So if people go and look for that, they're going to probably need the correct spelling. And then Kick the Wicked, which sounds really amazing, and I've got to catch up with some of that stuff. And then you've got a real job too, I think, in between all of this, right?
Yes, I actually I manage a National Science Foundation Center, which is a consortium between Florida International University, University of Tennessee, Knoxville, the University of Arkansas, which is the lead center, and with industry as well. So it's to help promote the scientists and engineers of the future. So it's really to kind of teach the students real world things that they can go out and help in those areas.
Wow. Wow. I mean, this is like having Jeff Skunk Baxter on my show. You know, it's just way above my pay grade, brother. I'm glad you came on here, my humble little platform, to talk about your book and your your job and your music. Kick the Wicked. I'm assuming that's going to continue for a while. You're going to kick out some more music with that band.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we write really well together. Like I said, we don't kind of fit into that one box. If we feel like writing something that's heavier, we write something that's heavier. If we want to write something that's more popish, that's what we do. Alternative, that's what we do. So we kind of go back and forth, and it works well. We've had some really good reviews of our music, and it not only is it excellent stuff. Scott does a great job with the production and the engineering, and Scott's really talented guitar player. He plays some keys, he plays bass, he's just really, really, really talented. So
you guys
I'm really
you have
pleased.
a website or a place that people can go find like just straight up like a regular website or Facebook page or anything like that?
Well, we have an official site, which is kickthewicked.com.
Okay.
And we also are all over, on all the platforms. We're distributed to all the digital platforms. By the way, you mentioned Fiction 6. One of our songs is going in for a special merit award, submitted for consideration for Song for Social Change. And that's that song Innocence, with that term that I try to pass to everybody: look into the eyes of children. Remember that you were once like them. So become a part of their innocence. And so that's really what that song's about. So it's that kind of stuff. Getting the messages out there to so people can talk and debate and
Sure.
and hear the good stuff among the bad and the good. So
Well,
we got to have a little of everything. Otherwise, you can't appreciate the good, right? You just have to try to sensitize the bad.
That's true. I mean, the timing of a song like that right now, with what's going on at the border and all the human trafficking, I'm just going to say it because why not? I know it doesn't endear the algorithm to me and anybody else who brings it up, but I think people really need to get a grip on that and understand the reality of it. But obviously, innocence is something that I think we used to really all collectively agree that children should be able to retain their innocence as long as they can. I mean, what is it? As John Mellencamp said, soon they'll be 16 and there'll be women and men, and it's gone. We look back at our childhood as almost like perfection. Even if it wasn't, we look at it in a way that's super nostalgic and meaningful, and it gives the rest of our lives kind of like a good place to go to, like that happy place that you went back to and you remembered, hey, I was riding my 10-speed bike down to the beach, hanging out with my friends. Some of the greatest times you'll ever have in your life,
The boardwalk of Seaside Heights, riding my bike up off that ramp. I got the scars to show for it too.
You're sporting
nostalgia.
You're sporting the same look that Joe Lynn Turner has. I'm gonna have to send him this video so he could see his brother, from New Jersey. I think Joe's from New Jersey too, so it works.
Yeah, man, that guy has fantastic tone. What vocal tone that guy has.
Isn't he? He's amazing. A beast. He's like, well, you're kind of a beast too, though. I mean, you're just
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're both beasts in different ways. Not the mark of the beast, right? Just the beast, Just
because I was born on 6/6/66. Now look it up. It is the angel's number and the devil's number. So it's very fitting for a Gemini.
Well, I'm gonna say that that's like your superpower. That's like your repellent superpower. It's like you can sense when there's darkness around. You can discern the dark.
Here's my superpower, man. It's called coffee. It's caffeine, man. That's the superpower right there. Except there's no brand in the bathroom shortly. So.
All right. We're gonna wrap up soon. Just a generic cup of coffee. No 7-Eleven or Dunkin' Donuts or anything like that. It's just a coffee brand coffee there, right? So
that's right. Appreciate the pot that they made here.
Anyway, Mark, thanks for coming on, buddy. It's great to talk to you. A lot always going on in the world, and you're one of those guys that kind of covers it from like 10 different angles. So I appreciate your perspective on things.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's just a spaz of me. I can't get around
All right. Well,
it.
keep in touch. You got anything going on, just give me a holler and we'll get you on, and we'll promote your next Grammy, hopefully Grammy winning project that you're a part of.
It'd be nice to be there, man. My good friends just got a Grammy this past year. Kit Wakely, he's fantastic. You should check his stuff out. He just did stuff with Nuno Betancourt, or
Nice.
Orianthi, and he did some work with Joe Satriani, London Orchestra.
Wow.
Great stuff, man. You should check it out. It's really
Yeah,
awesome.
you're hanging around with some really good musicians. All right. On that note, thank you so much, Mark. And again, thanks to everybody for watching this. Please subscribe to the channel, folks, if you can help me out. I'd really appreciate that. We're going to have obviously more great guests. Hopefully next week I'm going to have a great interview as well. So stay tuned for that. And God bless everybody. See you soon.